Hey guys, it's Timekeeper here, back at it again with another track breakdown. This time, I'm going to be breaking down my remix of Laserbeam. Ray Volpe's Laserbeam. I know because there's like a lot of other tracks called Laserbeam out there. But obviously when you hear Laserbeam, you know what this track is by. This track came out 9 months ago. I needed new tracks to play out for Anthem Northwest, which was my first show in the US, and I needed more new stuff to play out, so I made this. And it originally started as a tech house remix, and then I just like lowered the BPM, or up the BPM. Yeah, I upped the BPM to like 150, and it sounded better as a speed house remix. I got a comment from somebody that said like, "Oh, you're late to the party. You should have remixed it while it was still hot." And I was like, "Well, I needed time to think about like what to do for this." And I don't like remixing stuff when they're popular because like I don't want people to accuse me of trend hopping. But I also remixed the song because I genuinely really like Laserbeam. It's one of my favorite songs from Ray Volpe. It doesn't beat out Rave Rage for me, but Rave Rage will forever be my all-time favorite Ray Volpe song, and Insane, and Turbo Kid as well. But let's get started here. So first things first, we're gonna go over this pluck here, which was made in Serum. This is a Melodonumber preset, I believe. Yes, it is. I use a lot of these presets by Melodonumber. I should just start linking where you can download this pack in the description of like every single one of my videos, or my track breakdowns at least. But this is pretty much just a downsampled phone sounding pluck. It's pretty simple. Next up we have this Spire preset, which is Frozen, because I factory resetted my computer not too long ago, so a lot of stuff might not sound the same. I tried my best to replace everything I could, but I had to freeze Spire because when I re-download Spire, it didn't download. I think something fucked up or something in my files, and it started like playing this like white noise ever so often. I think that's to insinuate that it's a trial, so I had to freeze it to audio. That's how you can get around trials in the olden versions of synths. You just freeze them to audio, and then like once you get it to your liking, you freeze it to audio. So this is the original synth. This is actually me trying to recreate the original Laserbeam synth from Spire. Is there another sound in this? Nope. Yeah, no, there is. It's a clap, which I think it might be a Ray Volpe clap, because I wanted to use a lot of Ray Volpe samples in this. Yep. And all together we have this. I also wanted like, I didn't want like the intro to be the same as Ray's, because I wanted the intro to my remix to be like really recognizable, so when like people play it out, I know it's my remix they're playing, so like I get all hyped up. So let's go into the second section here, or when stuff comes in. Okay, so I want to mention that I originally had a tag at the beginning here that said Time, Keeper, and Volpetron, but I got rid of it because I didn't want people to think that this was like a collab between me and Ray Volpe, and it sounded cringe anyway, so I just got rid of it. So first things first here, we have this little respace here. Pretty basic res. It's the respace I use on every single one of my songs. And then we have a nice little pluck step. And then we also have like a little bit of a repeat of, or a duplication of the respace. I don't know why, but it sounds fine. I guess this is how I made tracks like louder back in the day, where I would just like duplicate the patch instead of like putting a utility on to increase the gain. And then we also have a little bit of like a synth wavy bass I made in Spire. It kind of sounds like a violin a little bit. And then we also have a little bit of a laser here from Virtual Right Sample Pack. I have some delay on there to kind of make it delay. And then we have some end packs here. We have this first one. And then we have this one. And now when we get into this section, here's the most famous sound of laserbeam. So here it is. So you can actually see the original processing of how I made this. Well, I followed the same style. So I was too lazy to find the original sample that this was from, so I did a little bit of a no-no, and I recorded Ray playing the original sample, because he played the original sample on his track breakdown he did on Patreon, and I recorded it through there, and I just put it in here. So please don't hate me for doing that. I was too lazy to find the original sample, but this is the official laserbeam lead. I thought this was a synth, like an old school sort of like trap synth. So pretty much the way you make this, you throw on overdrive on these settings. And then you throw on reduce ambience, and then a couple other effects here. This is the signature swag rack that Ray Volpe uses on all of his processing. So, and this is just a sampled version that I had archived because I was sending it to people and being like, look guys, I have the official laserbeam lead. So we get into this section here. And we have this riser. And then now it's time for my cringy ass vocals.
Bring out the lasers. Bring out the lasers.
Now, for this section, I didn't want it to just be like, bring out the lasers, bring out the lasers. Like, I didn't want it to be like the same sort of thing. So I wanted to do like a little bit of like sustain and then the vocal. So here's the first sustain here, which is actually the Lasertech bass that I recreated in Serum. This was before Serum 2 was a thing, so you're gonna see a lot of Serum 1 in this breakdown. But this was me trying to recreate the Lasertech bass in Serum. So I used that Ken Has kick with distortion, compressor, high peak filter, with a disperser on it too. And then here's what it sounds like without it. So the disperser had so much, and also my old fat bass rack too, where I actually had a thing that puts in no sub. Here we have another variant of it, which this is actually the tone layer. So we got.
Bring out the lasers. Bring out the lasers.
So that's actually the tone layer, and here is my cringy ass vocals. Let me find it. Here we go. Here's my cringy ass vocals.
Bring out the lasers.
So let me turn off all this processing so I can show you what it sounds like dry.
Bring out the lasers. Bring out the lasers.
And it's like pitched down. This sounds like pitched up.
Bring out the lasers.
It's just me saying it like casually. And then what I did is I threw on a plugin that I don't really use too much. It's a kilohertz assemble. I don't really use this plugin too much. I think it's like a sort of like a detune sort of plugin. But I have it on these settings here.
Bring out the lasers.
Kind of makes it sound like really robotic. And then I have a little bit of delay.
Bring out the lasers.
And then the swag rack.
Bring out the lasers.
That kind of brings out like more of that tone. And then we have utility and reverb.
Bring out the lasers.
So.
Bring out the lasers. Bring out the lasers. Bring out the lasers.
With the kick coming too.
Bring out the lasers.
And the original laserbeam track actually comes in for this section, and I actually use a little bit of the laserbeam track for like layering in the drop and stuff like that. So now we're getting into the build up here. So let's go into the build up here. So first off, we have the laserbeam track actually adding a little bit of kick, because without it, it actually sounds really thin. So like, here's with it. Now, I would have been more creative with this, but unfortunately, like, I didn't have the stems to laserbeam, and I was honestly too nervous to ask Ray for the stems, so I just kind of, like, put the original audio file on there, and it sounded good. Like, I don't think anybody really noticed, but now you know. So in terms of stuff that I added here, I added this little cashmere hi-hat. This is something inspired by Trivecta in their Starfall remix, where they had like house hats in the build-up, which I really liked. And then we have these build-up kicks. This is back when I used to use the same kick I used for drops in the build-up too, which I don't like doing anymore. And of course we have the laserbeam lead coming back in. And you kind of see it phasing out there. Well, why is it doing that? What's going on? What do you have on there? Well, if I could find where it is. Oh no, it's the reverb. I thought I had a washout rack on this, but no, it's actually the reverb kind of slowly going up and kind of phasing it out, so it's like slowly disappearing. So of course we have my vocals coming in for the build up too. So yeah, so that's pretty much the build up. There's actually no risers in the build up too. It's all depending on the laserbeam, original laserbeam, to provide all that. So of course it comes back for the, because he showed how to make that in his breakdown, but I was too lazy to recreate it, so I just used it from the song. So here's my favorite part of this remix. Oh, that was very anticlimactic. I forgot to unsolo. So here's my favorite part that I did in this remix. Laser. So this sound right here, I was trying to copy the sound that he made, the sound that goes Boo! And I tried to recreate it because he showed how to make it on his Patreon, and I ended up getting this sound, which is really cool. It's pretty much just Squelchy 3 FMing to the saw word. Everything is pretty much being controlled by one LFO. There's no effects on this at all. It's all depending on this screen right here. And then Serum Effects is kind of providing some kick here too, because if I turn it off, it's just a pretty basic screech, but this is actually providing some like. So what we got going on here, we have distortion. That's kind of down sampling a little bit. We have the chorus. And then the filter, which is actually causing the sound. The reverb sound is actually causing that. which I think the reverb is mapped to like a. I think the reverb is mapped to the note latch. I almost said nose latch. Note latch, yeah. So that's how you activate the LFO in the Serum effects. By the way, you turn on this button right here. That's called note latch. I know a lot of people don't know how to get the LFO because the LFO is right here, so like you're assuming you can use it. But anyway, and then we have my vocal come in, which is actually a different clip of me saying laser.
Laser.
It's actually an entirely different take. So I'm gonna reverse engineer this as well. So here we have the dry vocal,
Laser.
which is me just going laser, and of course we have the same
Laser.
and then I turn all of it on. So this little altar boy is also kind of a key thing in the sound too, because it's like
Laser.
pretty much the same processing, but the little altar boy is activated. That's why it was deactivated in the previous version, because it's only for this part.
Laser.
And that's pretty much all it is. So now we're getting into the main drop. This is where everything gets real. Let's go.
Laser. Drop the.
Oh, there's something that's kind of messed up here. Did the automation disable on the lead? Yeah, the automation disabled on the lead. This filter. Yeah, the automation kind of messed up. Let me just fix that here real quick. There we go. Sorry, the automation does that sometimes where it kind of like messes up like that. So here we got the first drop here, which we got a lot going on. First things first is this bass here, which is a laser that I made myself. I didn't even like look at any tutorials or something. I just made this because I was like, oh, we need laser sounds. Ooh, sorry, I forgot to break this down. So first off, we got the level automating up real fast. Then we got the coarse pitch. We also got the filter, which is a key thing. So I just had, I mean, that sounds cool, but the filter kind of adds more. And we also got some hyperdimension, which that makes it sound a little more wide, and then compressor. Doesn't really do much, but I mean, it does do something. But next we have. Now this is me actually trying to create the official laserbeam bass, which it actually sounds pretty close. I think if I like tweaked it a little more to a little more accurate to how he made it. So it's pretty much the same process as the except we got a little bit of detune, a lot of LFOs controlling stuff. You can copy these settings. I'm not really going to go over every knob and what it does, but this is controlling the coarse pitch. In terms of effects, just a tube distortion. And then in post-processing, we have Serum effects, pretty much the same deal as before. We have a disperser this time, because if it's turned off. Kind of adds a bit more zappy. We got a frequency shifter. Delay, corpus, yo man. We got, or this is just a chorus. We also got the VR fat rack, which I rarely use. But I put it on here just for accurate time's sake. And then we have another sample here that goes. This is another laser that I made. I think it's from like the patch from before, but it's just edited slightly. And then we have the track kind of coming in here. Just has a little bit of like a. Because, like, without it... like, it's missing something. So I added the original track there for a little bit of manipulation. Next, we have this sustain here. Now, I didn't have the wavetable that Ray was using, so I used this self-made Vox Heavyweight wavetable, which actually worked. It's pretty much just this wavetable with like with Ben Plus, and that's it. And then we have the disperser, frequency shifter, and my fat bass rack and a reverb. So of course we got the drums here, which are just like cashmere samples and stuff. So here we got this bass, which is a Ray Volpe bass from his like Patreon preset pack. It's just a Ray Volpe bass, and then this is also another Ray Volpe preset. But this is a bass that I made. This is a deep wub. I think I made this when I made my Batters remix, and I've kept this all this time. What else do we got here? Of course we have the laserbeam lead coming in. And now we're getting into the second section here. So it's pretty much just all the bass going like da 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 da. So I don't really need to go into all that again. It's pretty much just every bass like doing this flow. They're all pretty much just doing that flow. And then we get into the secondary build up here. So it's pretty much the same drop, but this time we're doing a my voice is kind of pitching up gradually. And now we're getting into dubstep.
Laser, laser, laser.
So, of course, like, Blank said, like, when he was doing, like, because I actually asked Blank, like, what made him decide to do an Aeon Mode remix of Laserbeam instead of, an Aeon Mode remix of Laserbeam instead of Blank, is because, like, he felt like a dubstep remix was too easy because everyone else was doing one. So he decided to, he's the only drum and bass remix that actually released a drum and bass remix of Laserbeam on that remix EP, but I felt like this needed I had to go into a dubstep section. And also this like pre-section always gets me.
Laser, laser, laser.
And this was actually the part where when I played this out at Anthem Northwest, everybody started screaming, "Laser! Laser!" And I didn't hear it. And then Bloodless pointed it out to me that people were doing that. And I was like, oh my god! So pretty much these are all the same basses, except they're doing like the gallop motion. It's pretty much the same from the second section. And then of course the Laserbeam track comes in again. So it kind of adds a little bit, because like without it, it adds a little bit of texture. Like you can barely hear it, but it adds a little bit of texture if I have the original playing there too. We also have a sustain coming in as well. So this is a sustain preset I made because I needed like to make sustain presets that I can edit easily and turn into like different presets and stuff. So I made this a bit ago and I decided to put it into the song and it oddly worked. I thought it was going to be like taking over the entire thing, but So we also have some Ray Volpe samples kind of chiming in here. We have his vocals going like, go, here we go, sort of thing.
Go. Here we go.
Yeah, it's just Ray Volpe saying random phrases. And here we have Ray Volpe samples coming in here. So I changed up the flow a little bit on the lasers here. They're kind of doing like, so like kind of makes up a flow from like a huge combination of samples and basses. So it's like,
Laser, laser, laser. Go. Here we go.
and of course we have another Ray Volpe bass going like, wow, wow. And the laser you hear there, the laser beam lead that you hear there is actually from the here. Okay, so I really want to show this next section here because this next section I am extremely proud of, and it's these chords right here. So I didn't know if I was going to be able to recreate these chords, but I did just by looking at the MIDI preview of when he was showing the chords. I was able to tell what notes they were on just by looking at the MIDI preview. And if my MIDI preview looked exactly like his, then I've nailed it. And here's the laser beam chords right here. It might not sound accurate to his, it might be a little different, there might be some notes missing or something, but it's the closest I've gotten to like recreating something. And I recreated this in Serum. I think he created his in Spire, but I recreated mine in Serum. It's pretty much just one saw wave, detuned up to 16. It was originally 2, but I didn't like the sound of it with 2 oscillators. So we have this hybrid reverb here, which is kind of making it sound like synth wavy, and I'm using a Ray Volpe sample, an impulse response synth one shot to kind of give it some texture. I think he did the same thing too for his, which is actually probably why it's here. I don't even think he used the same impulse, but I think he used a impulse. And then we have chorus, my melodic fat rack. Yep, that's pretty much it. And then we have all the elements from the intro coming in, like the respaces and the plucks. Everything is like coming together for like one big like midsection. So yeah, it's like, oh, I still have the chord soloed. So it's like it's all coming together. Yeah, I was just so incredibly happy I recreated those chords. So next we get into the second section here, or the last build up.
Laser. Rock the.
So this is actually like the original laser beam drop, but with my lasers layered over it too. So it's like, and they're all just rising. Well, everything's rising. This is just the only laser that's rising. And then we go into like a trap thing. And this is me chopping. Yeah. And these were like the closest drums I had to his laser beam third drop. Was like just, which is a trap drop, and then we just immediately switched to dubstep here. So, this is a different sustain. It actually sounds like a vacuum. Basically, we're using different wavetables like FM, Juno, distortion, EQ, bunch of other stuff. If I didn't have the sustain there, you would hear laserbeam really clearly. I wanted I wanted to minimize like me using the original song as much as I could, and if I did, I wanted it to be drowned in a bunch of other sounds, so it becomes more of a background element instead of it being the main thing you hear. So that's why the sustain is here. Now we get into some bro step stuff. Now this preset might look a little familiar. This is the main preset from my song Dark Mode, the one that goes except this one is edited to sound different. I needed like a revolty sound, so I figured this one was like perfect to use. And then we have another layer here. This one is called Crazy German because it sounded like Virtual Riot, so I called it Crazy German. Pretty cool stuff. Without these, it's just... So that's what the original song sounds like, but with these two, it kind of gives like a different sound to it. So, and this is some like cool little ear candy right here. Now, the rising laser is actually in this right here. But it actually... But nothing else is doing that. Like, none of the lasers are doing that. It's just like the illusion. It's just like a... What's the term for like sound illusion? It's a sound illusion to hear like the original laserbeam track do that, and then it sounds like all the other lasers are rising. So I didn't really need to do anything with that, which is pretty cool. Next we got no sustain. Now, I don't think in the original song he had lasers at the end. I haven't listened to the original in a long time, especially the last drop. So I don't know what's at the end, but I don't think these he had like lasers playing at the end. This is something that I added to kind of add a little bit of kick. So it's like if these lasers were not here, like it would just sound like a melodic trap drop. But here. Yeah. Yeah. So that's it. That is my Laserbeam remix. When it came out, it got quite a bit of support in the Timekeeper fan base. Like a lot of like my producer friends were reposting it, and it got a play out at the convention Furry Week in Atlanta by one of my DJ friends named Witty. Shout out to you, Witty. They played it at FWA, and a bunch of people at the front recognized the sound design, and they were like, "Oh my god, it's the Timekeeper remix of Laserbeam!" Because at the time, it was like when it was released, so people knew what the remix was at the time, because it came out like a bit ago when FWA happened. Like I released it, I think, before Anthem Northwest, because I liked it so much. But yeah, that's how I made my Laserbeam remix. I know it's like another dubstep remix, but I decided to change it with like speed house at the beginning, and then we go to dubstep, and then we go to hybrid trap fighting with dubstep. And I'm pretty proud of this remix with the way it came out. I might be doing like a remaster of this remix where like I put Ozone on it and I changed the sub just so it's like more live friendly. But yeah, I don't want to George Lucas it though. I love using that term, George Lucas. I don't want to George Lucas the remix though, but just for live settings, I might George Lucas it. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.